विस्सुरु
नेति
मुक्तिभेद विभागिनी
व्योमवद्व्याप्ताय
व्यक्ताय देहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः।
ॐ शान्तिः 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 श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ तत्सत्. So we were in the verse number 10. You may kindly mute yourselves. Prakash, you may mute yourself. Okay.
Swamiji, kindly unmute yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. So he was giving a few nomenclatural introduction, the verses. So how does a person get Aparoksha Anubhuti? How does he get it? And he started with mentioning that when a person has completed the course of Nishkama Karma, whatever Varnasrama Karma in the sense, depending on his own social and his economic situation, what he's supposed to do. Three filters he mentioned that he has done his karma, karma yoga, and tapasa. The verse number third, haritoshanat. So when a person has done adequate amount of tapasya, in many of the Vedanta Sastras, they categorize it like this: Kamya karma and a Nisiddha karma, you have to do parityaga, you have to abandon them. Why so? Because if you still have a sankalpatmaka mana, you are caught up in the chain of karmas. You do a set of karmas, you may do good karmas, you will have papa punyas. So you'd go to heaven and then you'll come back again. So the chain continues. Bad karmas, you'll go to narka, come back. You will have inferior rebirth. That's quite a hassle. And second one is you abandon kamya and nisiddha, but you have to do nitya naimittika prayashchita karmas. Nitya karmas, you do it, and naimittika karmas are special for special occasions, you do them. Nitya and naimittika karmas, when you do, you purify your antakarana. It's washing, it's like giving yourself a good wash to your consciousness by doing these karmas. Get rid of the tamasic energies in you through spiritual application of your rajasic energies. And you also do what is called prayaschitta karmas for any erroneous decisions or actions thereof in the past, so that you do not carry the load of bad karma into your future, into your present. Now, if we sit for meditation, there are certain pratibandhakas we inherit because of our past sanskaras. But it's quite possible that our bad sanskaras have been removed. We have sat for a meditation session, but our mind is still moving here and there. Why so? Whether the mind has papa sanskar or not, by very nature, the mind will be dangling and swinging between different subject matters. It is required that we learn to discipline it. That is what they mentioned Shamadamadi Satka Sampati. So we have to do certain Mano Nigraha, Indriya Nigraha. So we have to tame it. That we discussed in the sixth chapter in the Bhagavad Gita at length, even earlier. You have to sit in meditation, we need it. So we need ekagrata or concentration. How do we get it? We do upasanas. That is why he mentions here Haritoshanat. So, if a person is into devotion, it's not a waste of time. Through these devotional actions, whether it's chanting of the Sahasranamas or some japas or pranayama or whatever, and meditation, that purifies the mind further and gives it the necessary concentration to focus on meditation. Meditation becomes now here not unifying the mind on one pointed focus, but to do vichara, dwell on the Mahavakyas of Vedanta. And only through meditation on these Mahavakyas, the mind loses interest in all false understandings, which we call our life. Our life is essentially a bunch of false understandings and false presumptions. We are able to get rid of them and start our journey towards a correct understanding. And that is what is the Vedantic secret, right kind of vichara. So he's saying in this process, sadhanam cha bhavet punsam vairagyadi chatushayam. So viveka, vairagya, samadhamadi, satka, sampati, and mumukhyutva. These are the qualifications for the adhikara. For the qualification is yogyata here to do. And then he mentions what is viveka, what is vairagya, and what is samadhamadi, satka, sampati, and mumukhyutva. He explained till the verse number 10. And then in the verse number 11, he's justifying with all these, you know already, right? I don't have to go into details of these because these are mentioned in the verses we have done it. Viveka is nitya, nitya vastu viveka. What is nitya and what is anitya? And vairagya is ihamutra falabhoga viraga. So here and after, here ihaloke, you want a lot of putrishana, vitteshana, lokeshana, house, car, children, good relationships, attention, fame, name, all that. And after death, you want to go to Swargaloka, some imaginary place of felicity, enjoyment, comfort that you want to have through a Sukshma Sarira. We will assume upon falling of this body through a lot of Punya karmas. But you're not interested in them. Why? Both are Anitya. Swargaloka is Anitya, Martya Loka is also Anitya. Why so? Because these are result of karmas. Anything which is a result of something, anything which is a product cannot last. You make a lot of, you make a pudding, you make a kheer, you make a sweet dish. How long is it going to last? You buy a very good, anything you hold on to, whatever is drishya varga, whatever is visible, whatever is an achievement through some activity can only last so long. But what about a golden necklace? It's going to be there with you all the time, but you lose interest in it. You purchase it, wear it 3-4 times. It will be there in the box or the almirah, wherever, or maybe in a bank locker, but you don't necessarily consider that as a value. You know it's a valuable item. It doesn't give you any happiness. It has a very limited time frame. All other things except Atmajnana. Therefore, in verse number 11, he's justifying this whole Vedantic sadhana, which is vichara. You have done upasana, you have done nitya naimitika karma, you have disposed of all. I mean, you have sort of satisfied yourself with your discharging of responsibilities, but there's a moment when you want to figure out who am I, why am I here. That is what is introducing in the verse number 11. What did he say? Notpadyate vina jnanam vicharena nyasadhanaihi yatha padartha bhanam hi prakasena vina kvachiti. That's verse number 11. I think we had done ucharanam of this. Na utpadyate jnanam vicharena vina anya sadhanaihi jnanam na utpadyate. That is the anvaya. So what is he saying? He's saying there are other sadhanas also there. What are these sadhanas? There are a lot of sadhanas people do. Bhagavan himself mocks at his sadhakas. What did he say? That I have 4 kinds of devotees. In which chapter? Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, he mentioned that. These are all my very dear friends. Who are these? Artha, Artharthi, Jigyasu, Jnani. Artha is somebody who is in trouble. His name, remembering God to be rescued out of it. What are the best examples? You had that deer who was in chains with her children, and how Bhagavan, destroys this whole thing, and he sort of gives an electric shock to that particular person who had laid a trap, and he saves that particular mother deer. Then you had this example of the elephant, which was trapped in a river or a water body by a crocodile. So you have that Gajendra Moksha, that stuti. He's calling, Lord, save me. And then there is a story of Draupadi, who is facing embarrassment amidst a lot of relatives and friends and common people in a king's court, in Duryodhana's court, and he was trying to misbehave with her through his own brother. And can you imagine? He's a brother's wife. But then Lord comes and rescues her out of that very embarrassing, distressful situation. That is artha. Then you have artharthi, somebody who needs to build a house, educate his son, or marry off his daughter. It can be anything. He's a artharthi. It could also be all purusharthas. And then finally you have jigyasu. He wants to know what is it. He wants to study. He's a vanaprasthi maybe. He's a all these three are sakama bhaktas, Bhagavan mentions. The jnani is niskama bhakta because he doesn't want to have anything. He wants to realize God's presence in his life. He wants to connect with the divinity without any purpose. Therefore, he says, is dearest to me is verily myself. He had mentioned that. So he was glorifying, end of the day, the jnana yoga. If we are not ready for it, he advises Arjuna, you do karma yoga, continue to meditate on me in the 8th chapter. You do. Remember me and do your work because you are not ready to meditate. Your mind is still not peaceful. It's not at ease with itself. You have 20 things coming up in your mind when you're sitting for meditation. How can you meditate? People take a retreat and go for 7 days, and yet, I know there was a person who had come here, but she came here for 7 days of silence, and then these 7 days of silence, she was troubled by so many calls from her, from her clients, because she's a consultant. So many clients are calling her up, and she had to switch off her phone. And she was very disturbed. She's saying, where is the respite? I come to Rishikesh and yet so many calls. I'm still working on the computer and responding to their queries and this and that, as if I'm at their mercy. There's no respite. These are problems. Therefore, Bhagavan says, you do your work and you remember. But once a person has made up his mind, now to sort of withdraw, get a locational distance where he cannot be disturbed physically or emotionally or intellectually, then he's ready for serious meditation. And then he says in this 11th verse, na utpadya vina vicharena, without vichara. There are two kinds of meditation. One is that I just focus my mind on something. There is something called this strataka, right? You just light a lamp in front of you in a dark room and you keep looking at it for some time. Or maybe a spot in front of you on the wall or anything would be a picture of your your Ishtadevata or somebody, and you sit and look at that picture for a long time. That you can do. You can look at a star in the dark night. That's also a method. These days it's very difficult to find stars because of the pollution. But you can constantly look at a particular one-pointedness. You can do that sadhana. It gives you a lot of attention, the power of attention it gives you. But it doesn't give you liberation. Only for whenever we sit in meditation without resolving the inner issues, and inner issues are issues of our understanding. Without clarity on these issues, we silence them. This is like giving oneself a sedative because you are in pain. You will get into that mode. Of course, there is some respite. And then you open your eyes, all your questions come back to you. So it's very important to have a resolution of our internal issues. That happens according to the Vedantic path through proper reflection on the questions, proper reflections on whatever problems we are facing. Because without the benefit of that, whatever we might do when we wake up from a state of quick meditation or silencing of the mind, that is equivalent to sleeping. When we go to deep sleep, we have some relaxation, but the problems do not go away. When we wake up, they come back. This only process is through conscious analysis of these problems and refutation of these problems, because many of these problems are not real. That is the interesting part. They are not real. They appear. They appear real and we get entangled. That is what is mentioning here, that jnanam vina, you might do bhakti. It's not to make fun of bhakti. Bhakti is a great liberator in the initial stages. But then the mind gets prepared through emotional love for God and all, it's all great. But Bhagavan Shankaracharya himself says, Vina vicharena, without analysis, without analytical meditation. It's different from academic analytical meditation. This is about Atma, and he will tell us how to do it. So, vicharena vina jnanam na utpadyate. There is no jnana, there is no atma upalabdhati. Utpadyate means it doesn't happen, it doesn't rise in us. Through whichever other means, anya sadhanehi. So you may do karmas, you do upasanas, and you can do all kinds of tantra, these, that. People do hazar things. They wear tabis and all those. All these things are very less helpful in Vedanta. This is nirapeksha sadhana. All other sadhanas are sapeksha. You need some milk, you need some rudrakya, you need this, you need that, you need a priest, you sit. Shankaracharya makes fun of it. Idam tirtham brahmanti mudha janaha. It's a foolish people run around. This is tirth, that is tirtha. Like you had great Kabir in the same Vedantic fashion he sang, right? Pani me meen piyasi. The fish is feeling thirsty in water. And then it moves around. It goes to Kaaba and Kasi. There is drink, water, drink. It doesn't realize. So the Atma is always with us. When we are unable to look within and unite with ourselves, we are looking for friendships and relationships and all sorts of things. Nothing is more evident than the self. You know, there was this great European philosopher with whom rationalism started in Europe, Descartes. And what did he say? Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Long back, at least 800 years before him, Sankaracharya, in one of the Upanishad Bhashyas, smiles and says, there is no proof required for the self. Why? Atmanaha swatah siddhatvat. The self is self-evident. Do I have to prove that I exist? I exist, I know it. And I do not, there is no proof whatsoever required. Because that is Sakshi Vedya. I know, I realize I am here. I don't need any proof through my indriyas, through any logic, through any proof that I exist. No proof is required. What is required is jnana, that self-awareness. Therefore, he's saying you need to do vichara. You have to cut the clutter. You have to remove unnecessarily clouding of the mind with false presumptions, prejudices, and inherited ideas. The problem with religion is that it is loaded with inherited ideas about what is truth, what is Atma, all that. But spirituality is it's a domain just above the traditional domain of religion. Spirituality starts, just on the outer sphere of religion when a person wants to reconnect with himself. Religion is sadhan, it's all right. It creates good habits, that's fine. It can create bad habits depending on how you practice it, but spirituality is a step ahead of it. It's beyond the theory class in physics or chemistry. You have to enter the lab, and the lab is within. Therefore, he's saying, what is the example he's giving? Why vichara is required? Why we need to turn into this Atma vichara, Atma pariksha, all these words. He's saying, look, yatha padartha bhanam hi prakasena vina kvachid. Prakasena vina kvachid padartha bhanam na utpadyate. There is a, just imagine you have lost your spectacles and you're looking for it. You have actually left it right on your table. You have forgotten it. And you are not switching off the lamp because you are in a hurry to catch your flight. It's early morning. And you are running here and there. Where is my cell phone? Where is my passport? Where is my spectacles? You are moving here and there. And then your wife or brother or father or brother, whosoever else is there, or you yourself, if you're alone, you switch on the lamp. And you see, you just look at the table. You had gone to the table 3 times. You switch on the lamp. From a distance, you are able to see, yeah, in that corner, there's my purse, there is my passport, there's my spectacles, there's my cell phone. You are able to see everything. What did you require? Did you require extra eyes or nose, any jnanendriyas or karmendriyas? You needed light. That light is compared with vichara. To know the truth, you need the light of wisdom. Andhakara, darkness, is ignorance. To remove darkness, all you have to do is light a small lamp. Darkness is eliminated. To remove ignorance, you have to light the lamp of wisdom, understanding, upalabdhi. That is what he's mentioning. Yatha padartha bhanam hi prakasena vina na kvachidi utpadyate. That is the drishtanta he's giving in order to explain it. That much is clear. So he's now explaining it's very important for us to do Vedanta Vichara. Why is he saying this? Because he's preparing us for Aparoksha Anubhuti. What is Aparoksha Anubhuti? We have discussed that very briefly. You have Paroksha Anubhuti by reading something, and you have Pratyaksha Anubhuti by seeing something. But Atma is not Indriya Gochara. So you cannot have Atma Pratyaksha through your senses. It is Avang Manasa Gochara. You cannot go and you can't touch it, you can't feel it. Why? It's Niravayava. It is very subtle. It is not an object of your perception. Why? An object of perception is outside of you. It is different from you. What are we talking about? We are talking about our own self. So our own self cannot be an object of our own perception. There will be kartri karma virodha. You are the agent, you are the knower, and you are the known. How do you know yourself? No, he's saying you have to do that vichara, and in the process, through that meditation, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, at the end of the journey, the mind becomes super sharp, very focused, and luminous, and you realize what you're looking for is not an external object. It is verily yourself. It's praptasya prapti. It's like your spectacle is right on your nose, and you're looking for it. Somebody says, do you know you are wearing it? Oh, really? Oh, so you got it. Where was it? It was there where it is. You couldn't know. Why didn't you know? That is ignorance. So Vedanta says that we are all pure nature. We are all having divine nature, except that because of bad purva sanskaras, we have false assumptions about our limitedness. That our consciousness is restricted, we are not happy, dukhi aham, sukhi aham, all these perceptions we have. We are happy, we are sad. He said this to me, do you know? All these things are there. Once we have this enlightened understanding of ourselves, we have a sense of relief. Sankaracharya says a beautiful statement. He says a person is carrying a huge load on his head, and suddenly after some time he he sort of puts it off his head. Does he feel happy? He feels happy. Did he get anything? No, he didn't get anything. What happened to him? He got rid of a load of weight that he was carrying. We are carrying the weight of our past ignorance, inherited sanskaras. If we are able to remove them, we feel extremely light. I remember that beautiful title of a great novel by Milan Kundera, the unbearable lightness of being. So you feel that lightness, that existential freedom when you realize who you are. That is what is mentioned. Then, how do you do this vichara? Now you said, Rite Jnanam na Kaivalyam. Without Jnana, there is no freedom, there is no liberation. The student gets confused. Sir, I understand, but how do I do that meditation? How do I do that vichara? That is doing abhinaya. In Sanskrit, it's called, he sort of will put into words in certain question forms to give an expression to what kind of questions are supposed to emerge in the mind of a good attentive student. That is what is capturing in the verse number 12. कोहम कथमिदं जातं को वै कर्तास्य विद्यते उपादानं किमस्तिह विचारः सोऽयम् ईदृशः सः अयम् ईदृशः विचारः. That is the last word. Now he is explaining how we have to do the vichara. It will continue till the verse number 16. He's preparing us. Now he'll give all the answers. He's holding our hands like a teacher. And like in Viveka Chudamani, we had a wonderful dialogue, right? One after the other. So here also, same thing. But there, the student asks a few questions and the teacher answers. And here, the teacher himself, from his own side, is creating that dialogical situation in which he's raising issues in the form of questions which are supposed to rise in our minds. What is he doing? He's encouraging us to question ourselves, to have our attention focused on these questions. What are the first question is supposed to come in the mind of a guy? What kind of a guy he is or a girl he is? I mean, a candidate for Jnana Charcha, Jnana Vichara. He or she is sadhana chatushtaya sampanna, viveka vairagya, sadhana in sat samadhamadi satka sampati, and mumukhitva. So he has strong desire for liberation. Sansar हमने बहुत देख लिया. There was a beautiful statement somebody forwarded on a WhatsApp message on a newer day, and I liked it. He said that, he said a person's own face appears in the mirror, but it's not there. दिखता है, होता नहीं है. Same way, happiness appears as if it's there in sansar, but it's actually not there. Beautiful. Many of these things are a product of our sanskaras. We believe it's like that. We feel jaded. We go and meet a friend after a long time and we had certain expectations and we go, we are in distressful situation. We think he or she is going to help because he has been very warm to us. And then we call up the phone or we visit and then we talk to him and we find he's actually not that, he's warm, but we don't ask for that help because we could guess this is the wrong place. I'm not going to get what I'm looking for. We quietly, have a cup of tea or whatever, and then, yeah, it was nice meeting, and you come back. Many times it happens in life. Sansara is that friend. Sansara is that friend we are visiting every now and then, and we are expecting that friend called Sansara, which is a shadow that we are dealing with. We're expecting that shadow to answer the questions or desires of our heart. It doesn't. Then we return emotionally drained. Then we lie low for some time. Then we again have a few temptations and some interaction, some goodwill. We believe, yeah, samsara is good. Then you have another setback. That keeps repeating in some form or the other. If you are a little intelligent, then you have some amount of autonomy and you study some Vedanta, you develop your own inner wisdom, then you reduce your expectations and you maintain that wise distance. What did Bhagavan say in Bhagavad Gita? Vivikta desa sevitvam. That person who knows he has to maintain a bit of distance from samsara. There's a beautiful statement by Thakur Ramakrishna Paramahansa is to say that you understand samsara better by maintaining distance from it, and you understand Bhagavan better by connecting with him. In order to connect, in order to understand what is Vedanta, we need to have upasana, and to have good upasana also we need understanding. These are dialectical, mutually reinforcing processes. What are these questions? The first one is Kaha Aham. Why is it happening to me? What's wrong with me? Who am I? Wherefrom I came? And then he's saying that is first about yourself. The next question is about Katham Idam Jatam. Idam is what? Always Idam means this material Jada Varga or the Anatma Varga. Other than self, everything is Anatma. Other than Atma, everything is Anatma. Including our thoughts, emotions, including our buddhi, that is not Atma. Why? We had discussed that in Bhagavad Gita. If our buddhis are Atma, how are we able to say, Meri buddhi gum ho gayi thi? We say that. Mera dimag theek nahi hai. So who is saying that my dimag is not right? So there is somebody, right, who is different from the mind, who is different from... I mean, I am not feeling happy. I'm not feeling very well. So you are being able to look at your own experience of discomfort. That feeling then is not you. That manomaya kosha is not you. That vijnanamaya kosha is not you. They are all non-self. Ultimately, this is pancho kosha atita. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, and anandamaya kosha in deep sleep. When we are in Karnasar, you're very happy, you get up, you had a good sleep, you're experiencing. But none of these koshas, they're called seeds, like the shod is kept inside the seed. Similarly, the self is hidden in these panchakosas. What's panchakosatita? It has no name and form. That is what we studied in Vivekishwaramani, also in the Tattva Bodha. Therefore, he's saying, what is katham idam jatam? So, idam means all sansara that you see. How is it born? How was it created, this Srishti? Where from it came? What are the three questions we are all the time thinking? Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. Who is God? Who am I? What is this Jagat? Why am I trapped in this Jagat? They are true or false. There are people who believe Jiva, Jagat, and Ishwar all are true. The Vaishnavas. They are all true. Even Kashmiri Saivism. They said, नहीं सब ठीक है ये सब. भगवान भी सच है, सृष्टि भी सच है. जीव भी हाँ जीवात्मा अलग है भगवान से वो भी सच है. But the Vedanti laughs and says, actually none of this is true. Why? Vedanta says neha nanasti kinchana, there is only Atma which is satya. This Bheda Buddhi is delusional. Vyavaharika satya. Phenomenal reality is true at the level of everyday experience. Overall correct, yeah, it exists. Fundamentally it doesn't exist. You know, the example that I had sent, that I can again share that link, that computer scientist who talks about the Atma. You know, if you look at this computer window and what all that you are reading on the computer screen, is it true or false? A guy who is a very bright student of computer science, he will say these are all false. Why? He says, no, it's only binary, 0101. What is true about all the pictures that you see right now? Ultimately, they are all 0101. But with 0101, you cannot do business. You will have to look at names and forms. Complex agglomerations of these binaries, which are appearing in the form of color, program A, program B, program C, ultimately 0101. Same way, ultimately, all these phenomenal realities that we experience and watch are not real. What is real? Only one thing. What is that? Brahman. How do you know? He says, Sadeva Brahma idamagar asit ekameva advitiyam. Shastra says Brahman only is real. Neha nana asti kinchana. Na iha nana asti kinchana. There are not one, two, three, four things here. It's only Atma here. And how do we see this multiplicity? That's the game of your mind. We see that it's a creation of consciousness. There's nothing outside of consciousness. No, but all the physical laws and this and that, the reality doesn't exist. And he will turn back at you and say, who will verify their existence? Now, there will be an observer. Fine. So you're talking about consciousness. So there is nothing outside of consciousness. Ultimately, that consciousness is what is getting reflected in the, as the sansara. That is the long debate. We'll start with this. He's saying katham idam jatam. Katham means how is it born? Ko vai karta? Or really, it has been created. So who is that creator? Ishvara kaun hai? Ko vai karta? Asya, asya jagatasya. Asya jagataha, asya prapanchasya, karta kaha. Who is the creator? Who has created this? Tell me. And asya vidyate. And then karana is of two kinds, right? You have material cause and efficient cause or intelligent cause. So if you look at anything, let's imagine that we are looking at anything. So there is some medicine. There's a bottle of small medicine, some homeopathic medicine. So what is the nimitta karana? There is a scientist or a pharmacist or some guy sitting in the lab who has prepared this medicine. And this plastic bottle is made of some hydrocarbons, right? So the material cause is the chemical. the horrible elements which are processed to produce this. That is the upadana karanam, material cause. What is the nimitta karana? That scientist or that pharmacist who is sitting and preparing this. So you have nimitta karana, intelligent cause or efficient cause, and upadana karana, material cause. So in Vedanta, there are different schools of thought. Some people believe that Maya is the Upadana Karana and Nimitta Karana is Ishvara. But we are not going there. It's a little advanced. Very briefly, he's asking, what is the Upadana Karana? In Vedanta, in simple terms, Bhagavan or Ishvara, Parambrahma, is Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana. He has no material, like in the Bible says, God created man out of clay in his own image. Where did the clay come from? So there was God, Jiva, humans came about after that, and then there was clay. Some materials were there. So he's already saying Jagat is real, God is real, and he creates Jiva. The Vedanti would say, where do you get clay? In Mahapralaya, we have a time where nothing exists. Only what exists is Brahman. Where are we all? We are in the seed form. Like you close the computer screen, the laptop, we get into the sleep mode. You open, all the windows again open. That is Srishti. There is a Nitya Srishti. Every day we get up, the Sansara is born for us. We go to sleep, there is a Pralaya, Nitya Pralaya. We go to sleep and we wake up again. We are sure we'll come back. What if we didn't know we'll come back? We'll not be able to sleep. So it's very interesting. He's saying, what is that upadana karanam? So here, the upadana karanam mentioned here is like jatha urna navihi. You have that caterpillar, sorry, the spider who weaves the net out of his own saliva. You know, the spider weaves that whole net, that cobweb, out of his own saliva. Who is the upadana karana? That spider. And the net it creates and traps other insects. Nimitta karana, who is the nimitta karana? That very spider. So the example of spider is given to explain creation. Like the spider creates a cobweb, God creates the sansara. But then there will be a doubt. That means sansara is real, like the cobweb, the net created by the spider. The Vedanti will laugh and say, no, no, no. I was telling you a story to explain it to you. This is vivartha upadana, not real upadana. You make halwa, you need, suji. You need that particular material with which you will prepare some sweetness. This sansara is made out of Maya, but it is the Bhagavan is the vivartha upadana karana, means there is no change or there is no decomposition, no change in Bhagavan. But Ramanujacharya, as I have explained, we had one discussion. He talks about Brahma Parinamavada, means God has enormous capacity and power, Achintya Sakti, to create this whole sansara and not be affected by it. So sansara is also Satya for him. But for Shankaracharya, he says sansara is Satya. It's not tucha, like a hornet's, like a hornet's horns. No, sansara is Satya, but phenomenally real, not fundamentally real. What is the example he gives? Is like in the dream, you see a tiger, the tiger is chasing you, you wake up, you are sweating, you are tired, you are frightened. That's all real. Wake up, where is the tiger? Similarly, the sansara is real, but fundamentally not real. These things, this whole Vedantic truth, is like goes in rounds and rounds and confuses us. But slowly, and there are so many sophisticated arguments given to explain to you that only Brahman is such. Like the Buddhists have very elaborate arguments to say that only Sunya is true, but the Vedanta says, who is saying Sunya is true? Somebody is saying, like, did you say that? Oh, really? So do you exist? They would ask. Whether this Buddhist will say, no, I also don't exist. So who is speaking this? Who will verify the truth? Nothing exists. That is the counter question. They have their own arguments to defend the point. The Vedanti says, nothing can exist, we cannot say this. Because out of nothing, something cannot come out. We have the samsara. If there is a rope, you can see the snake. There is a rope, by mistake, you confuse that as a snake. If nothing is there, how do you see a snake? Hallucination. Okay, that's for you. But there is verifiable reality. Swapna, whatever you see, when you wake up, you can refute what you saw as real because in your waking state, you are being able to verify something. That was an appearance. This is also an appearance, but this is more solid. Now, if you refute everything, then how do you compare the dream state visibility or whatever truth you experience and the waking state? But the Buddhists have their arguments, the Vedantis have their arguments. Cousin brothers, one doesn't believe in Atma, they are Anattavadis, and the Vedantis Atmavadi. That is the difference. But both are non-dualists. They share the argument that there is only one thing. There are no divided realities. This whole apparent samsara is not real. Both of them agree with each other on that. Therefore, he's saying, so what are the questions? Who am I? How is this samsara born? Who created this? What is the material out of this? It has been brought into existence. That is the vichara. So, ayam idrisaha vicharaha. That vichara is like this. What was the doubt in the mind of the student? I would do vichara, but what kind of vichara? He has given us 4 questions to meditate on. He elaborates further. Then you will start with the first question. Ko aham. Who am I? Am I the body? Am I the mind? Am I my intelligence? Am I my relationships? Vedanti makes a very beautiful analysis. He says, who are you? Okay, we say that, everyone would say that I'm John this. Okay, John is your name. Whatever is yours, you cannot be that. You have a car, you are not your car. So you are saying, I'm John Frederick. Okay, John Frederick is your name. Who are you? You were there before you got a name. When? Oh, when you were in mother's womb. When you came out, you had no name. Did you exist? Yes, I did. So why are you referring to as John or Jack or whatever? These are assumed identities. They have no relevance. There are many places where you find John and Jack applied to somebody else, but that's not you. How can you be that? The name is not the name, and I'm a man. Oh, really? So you are only the only foundation for manhood. There's so many. How are you different? When you were a little baby and holding on to your mom desperately, were you a man? Yes, I was a boy. How did you know? You didn't even know whether you're a boy or a girl. That was told to you when you became 2.5 years. You realized what it means to be a boy or a girl. So you didn't exist as a boy or a girl. Don't bring in gender. So you remove these kinds of false presumptions. What remains? Then the body. When you are in sleep, does the body remain with you? Do you have ownership? Yes, I have. Then when in the dream you see the tiger chasing you, why didn't you run away? Why are you feeling trapped? And your leg hits the bed and you feel hurt and you wake up. Your body is not in your control. So you exist even without your body, isn't it? Your body is not with you. Your body is a male body, and in the dream you see yourself as a little boy. But you're not a boy anymore. You assume a subtle body in the dream. All kinds of things. You're not your body. So he's now saying, what is that meditation? Ko ham, who am I? He's answering that in the verse number 13. Naham bhutagano deho, naham shakhyaganas etad vilakshanaha kasid vicharaha soya maidrishaha. Na aham bhutaganaha. This panchabhutakara deha, Akasha, Vayu, Teja, Jala, Prithvi. These are the Panchatattvas, out of which this Annamaya Kosha, this physical body, is created. Are you this body? No, I am not. If you say that you are, have you seen, there on YouTube videos you'll find, this, I think in America Got Talent, AGT 23, there was this guy who came who doesn't have his legs. He only has 2 hands. Very muscular guy. And he performed wonders. A lot of tricks it showed, and he doesn't have legs and all. So he didn't have 50% of his body, but he's a man. His self obviously is not limited to the shape, the size, and what he is perceived as a person by others. So physical body is not that physical body. So he's saying, na aham bhuta gana deha. So I'm not a, it's like assemblage of these physical components of my physical being. No, I'm not that. It's very easy to refute it because as I told I am not my body, because when I was not this big, I was a little boy, I existed, and in old age I would not have what I have today. I may lose my hair, my skin, and everything will start sort of decaying, but I would still be there. What about death? Of course, death will happen to the body. Bhagavan told Arjuna, what are you worried about, my boy? Your Sukshma Sarira cannot be destroyed because you will have to experience Papa Punya after your death. Your physical body cannot be retained. Jatasya hi dhruva mrityu. Bhagavan explained. Physical body you cannot retain. Sukshma Sarira by will you cannot destroy. Why? Till you have Atma Jnana, there is no liberation. You will go and come back. That drama will continue. What are you bothered about? So obviously, even Sukshma Sarira is not you. Because the Sukshma Sarira assumes different names and forms and different experiences. But you are unique and you are different. So that is the beginning of Vedanta Vichara. I cannot be this physical body. There is a person, there are people who distract you. The baby says, no, I would not have it. What does the mom say? Okay, you don't want to have this. Would you like to play with this doll? No, I don't want that. The baby is upset, very angry, crying. But he doesn't reveal what he wants. The mother gives something else. The boy, a little girl, she throws it away. Similarly, there is a guy who is trying to please the Vicharaka, the student of Vedanta. He's saying, okay, so you're not that. So it's quite possible that you are your Indriyas. The Charvakas, in the first verse, Naham Bhuta Gano Deha, Vidyaranya Swami, the commentator, beautifully mentions it. Nanu Chaitanya Visishtaha Kayaha Purushaha. The Charvaka, the Lokayatikas, make fun of these so-called Brahmins and these Pandits. You know what they say? These are idiots. God has given a beautiful body to relax and enjoy, and they're looking for Swarga. You enjoy life here. You ask a Charvak guy, where is Swarga? He says, Swarga, I have to do this Jyotishtama, the yaga, and all these karmas, sitting next to fire. Are you stupid? No, you don't want to go to Swarga. No, it's here. Where? He says, Swarga, Narya Linganam. Get a beautiful girl to hug. That's the heaven. It's right here. So they are the first Epicureans. You don't have to go to Greece. The hedonists, you don't have to go to Europe. They were here much before hedonism or Epicureanism raised its head in the West. Maybe they stole a few ideas from the Sanskrit in India, in ancient India. So he says, what? Yava jivet, sukham jivet. Khushi se raho. Bhasmi bhuta sarirasya punaragamanam kutaha. How can the body once dead can come back? What is karma? Nonsense. The karma siddhanta, all nonsense. So how do you explain the consciousness? He says, oh really? I ask another question to you. When you drink some water called alcohol, you get intoxicated. Where does intoxication come from? That water, it's physical. It produces a conscious effect. Similarly, you chew pan. What do you have there? You have the betel leaves, then you have the betel nuts, and you have a bit of chuna, whatever this calcium oxide or calcium carbonate, whatever you mix all that, you put it in your mouth and you chew it for a while. The red color is produced. Was the red color there? No. How did it become red? Similarly, they don't talk about Panchabhuta. They don't even accept Akasa is real. They just says that there are four tattvas there. What are the four tattvas? Vayu, Jala, Teja, and Prithvi. And these four come together, this is formed. Simple. Consciousness, no. Body-mind duality in Western science, they would say no. They are very close to the Westerners who believe that consciousness is an aspect of the brain because there can be no consciousness outside of the brain. So, that John Searle and others, the Western philosophers, who just basically think that consciousness is an aspect of the brain. No brain, no consciousness. Where in the brain you have feelings of enlightenment? Show it to me. The consciousness expert asks. They said, right now I can tell you, but I'm a neurologist, maybe in future. But there is nothing called consciousness outside of the neurons and neurological processes. The Charvakas are very much there in disguise in the West. So he's saying, Koham katham idam. So he's saying, I am this body. Vedanti says, no. You are a little presumptuous. You cannot be a body. Then he says, okay, there are certain Charvakas who assume through Atma, what is Atma? They would say, okay, take the Indriyas into consideration. So with the senses, maybe that they imagine senses to be the Atma. That is refuted. Then he's saying, Naham Saksha Ganaha Tatha. Cha Aksha Ganaha. Aksha means the Darsana Indriya. This is a Upalakhyana. It includes all other senses we have, all the Pancha Jnana Indriyas. I am also not these Indriyas I have. Why? When I am in deep sleep, am I using any of these Indriyas? Are they of any use to me? I'm not using. I have ears, I don't hear anything. I have eyes, I don't see anything. Do I cease to exist? If I cease to exist, when I wake up from deep sleep, how am I able to say that I had very good sleep? Who experienced that happy sleep? There was somebody, and that somebody cannot be any of the Indriyas who are not in functional mode. This Atma is different from the Indriyas. Therefore, he says, Naham, Naham Chakya Ganaha Tatha. Then he says, this Bodhis, the distractor, defense lawyer, he will say, okay, let's have a deal. Why don't you accept the Atma doesn't exist? He says, no, no, no. You're saying there is no self. Oh, how stupid are you? For any argument to be there, there has to be somebody who is making the argument. How can you deny the existence of the self? Don't you be so stupid, my boy. Therefore, the student says, Etad vilakshanaha kaschit. Different from this body and this mind and these senses, there is something other than these. Vilakshanaha, different. Kaschit, there is something. He's exploring what is the Atma. Not yet there, but he's asking right questions. And what does he say? He's saying, Vicharaha so ayam idrishaha. This vichara, that other than this body, mind, this Mahasunya, and this complex, body mind complex, the self is perhaps something different. That is a stepping stone for enlightenment. And that is the vichara, my boy. Second question answered. And in the third question, we have time. Okay, we are almost coming. Let me just do Ucharam at least of the verse number 14. I was expecting to go till 15, but we'll stop here after 14. Simple one, but some vichara. We will keep it for tomorrow. Agyana prabhavam sarvam jnanina praviliyate sankalpo vividha karta vicharaha soyami drishaha. Agyana prabhavam sarvam. You had asked this question, Katham idam jatam. All this sansara is born out of what? There is a school of thought in Vedanta called Drishti Shishtivada. दिखता है तो है. What is reality? Reality is what you perceive, what you experience. Now in France, there was a bunch of theoreticians who are called French structuralists. Okay, you have the greatest of them being now post-structuralist is Jacques Derrida, who passed away a few years back. So they say that this whole reality is a linguistic product, because without language, what is reality? They will ask you a question: what would happen to this universe if there was no language? The answer is there will be no universe. Why? There will be universe is expressed in language. This is a proposition. This is a truth proposition. The truth proposition requires linguistic expression, requires language. The Vedanta says the same thing, that this whole samsara requires consciousness. Without consciousness, what is samsara? Same thing. So what he is saying here, ajnana prabhavam sarvam. Everything is born out of ajnana. Means what? Of faulty understanding. And the example the Vedanta gives in Panchadasi is a beautiful example. So he's saying that there is a golden necklace which is lying on a some kind of a wasteland. On the field, something is dazzling, it's there at a distance, it's lying there, some golden necklace. There are three people walking there. One person looks at it and rejects it as a piece of some aluminum foil or something. He walks off. The second guy goes near it to verify what it is and picks up the golden necklace. He says, "Oh my God, I'm so lucky. God has been so kind to me." If he's a devotee of Sai Baba, he does Sai Sai, is Kali, then Kali Kali, whatever. The third guy is a Vedanti. He smiles and walks off. He looks at the first guy, he looks at the second guy, and he walks off. Why? He's not interested. Why he's not interested? Because he knows whatever is sukha is dukkha karana. There is nothing called sukha without dukkha. Sukha is always dukkha mishrita, and he's watching it. So what? You have a golden necklace, really? So your universe is going to change? You're just adding something, some clutter, that's it. You have it, great. You don't have it, even great. There's nothing wrong with it. So he walks off. There is a lady, another example is given in Vedanta. This lady is there, is a beautiful young woman. Somebody looks at her as his partner, her husband. Then there is a little child which cries for milk. Who is that little child? Her son. There is a teenager boy who wants to borrow some money. Who is that? Her younger brother. Somebody else is expecting a gift. Who is that? Her brother in law or sister in law. There is somebody else addresses or his daughter, her dad or mom. And there is somebody else expects a cup of tea early morning, her father in law, mother in law. Who is she? She's none of these roles she's playing, but she's known through certain, there's a beautiful word this guy, Alvin Toffler, uses in Future Shock. He says, we are modular man. We don't know who we are. We have interactions with others in modern societies. These are modules. There's one module of me as a monk, and that is talking to you. There's another module of me, still, my mom calls up and I have to answer. That is a module, and this is a module. So we in a modern society, we are not whole man or whole women. We are in different modules. What is said about modern society, Vedanta said long time back, we are anyways seen as different beings depending on which face of us is visible to the other person. The same self, there's another example, you have this Ekaka Kalakara, there was this place in Orissa, in South India, in Bengal was also there. What happens is there'd be one guy who will come on the stage and he will do one part of Ramayana. So he will become Ram, he will become Lakshman, he will become Sita, then he will become that boatman who has to ferry them. All that one person does. Okay, and he would be changing his voice and acting and becoming different people. He's telling a story. One guy, so one guy would be doing everything. Like in Bengal, they had the Shakespeare walas, so they would be enacting Shakespeare plays. There's one guy, he would be doing different roles in a play. Similarly, this Ishvara is one thing who is assuming different names and forms. And then we human beings are no different from the Brahman, but we are sopadhika with name and form. We appear to be tiny little human beings caught up in the samsara. And therefore he is saying what? Ajnana prabhavam sarvam. Everything is born out of that ajnana. When you have right understanding, like for example, you're scared of it can happen to anybody. So somebody actually called me up in the middle of the night. A little girl who is in college and says, what do I do? I think somebody is walking on my roof. I realized that she was very depressed. I just talk to the person for a while. Little girl, examination, a lot of headaches. And she's depressed and she's scared. She believes that somebody walking on her. Why did she think like this? Whatever biochemical changes. Then just imagine in the morning, she finds out that there was a cat who's sitting on the top of it because she has kitten. How relaxed he is. In the morning, she found out the cat was walking, and this poor girl whole night was scared that somebody is sitting on the roof. Similarly, he's saying, Ajnana prabhavam sarvam jnanena praviliyate. Once you know what's the reality, the load of this whole presumed reality, which is creating problem, with right understanding, the load is gone. The load didn't exist. The predator or the ghost or the robber or whatever was walking on the roof actually didn't exist. It was a cat. But it threatened you as a robber or as a predator or whatever, as a thief. Once it's morning, you figure out it's a cat, the fear is gone. Once we know what is samsara, we can only know through proper understanding. Once we have that, then the load is off our head. Then what he says, sankalpa vividaha karta. What is karta? The person who creates a lot of sankalpas. That itself assumes kartutva. Aham karta, aham bhokta, delusional. Who is karta? Who is bhokta? Atma is not karta or bhokta. Is assumed. So kartutva, bhoktritva, this is abhimana, superimposed on ourselves. Like you are going to a party. Your younger sister is doing some function. She's marrying off her daughter or something. You are there as a guest. You start dictating terms. She cannot say anything because you are the elder brother. You are actually attracting mockery from other guests. Why is this guy coming and creating problem here? Oh, I'm the elder brother. I used to teach her maths when she was a little kid. Come on, she's marrying off her daughter. You're a guest. You try to help. Why are you demanding things and it should be like that? It should be. Then suddenly she says, Bhaiya, cha chup ho ja. You feel very hurt, upset. Oh, really, I'm so sorry. You withdraw with a lot of pain. The wise guy would realize that it's none of my business. He would really enjoy. That's all about samsara. We have this ahankara, mamakara. We think we are very important. We can execute changes. We are in the center of the universe. We are God. People don't recognize it. How special I am. Actually, the real meaning of it is how stupid I am, which I don't realize. People don't realize how special I am. It means I don't realize how stupid I am. That is what Vedanta teaches us. Therefore, he says, Sankalpa vividaha karta vicharaha so ayam idrishaha. Being able to analyze like this, that is the vichara we have to do, and we'll move forward tomorrow from here up till 14th here. Any questions? Because we have crossed the time, you can put it in the group. You can SMS it to me. Some new friends have joined today, so I'll be connecting them. So you can send me through the SMS, and you can send me SMS, so I'll add you. Let's do the Shanti mantras. Om Purnamadaha
Om Purnamadaha Purnamit
Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva
विशिष्यते
Om Shanti
शान्तिः
Shanti Shanti
शान्तिः
Shri Guru Pyo
गुरुभ्यो नमः
Om Tat Sat. Have a good day. We'll meet again tomorrow.
प्रणाम स्वामी
Pranam Swamiji.